Africa's richest man, Nigerian-born Aliko Dangote, talking about some critical issues Nigerians need to fix its industrialization. So let's talk about a little bit about the global marketplace. You got a story in this morning, Bloomberg reporting that China will be spending most of its investments in the global upstream business in Africa within the next 5 years. $15 billion plus was what Bloomberg says China will likely be spending on the African continent to drill for oil and gas over the next 5 years. That will be the largest spending globally by China, and that is coming to Africa over the next 5 years. One big news for you this morning. But of course, if you're looking at the London market, Tesco is reporting its sales and revenue numbers early today, the fourth trading day of the week. So let's check in with Juliana Olayenka, one of our team at our London studios. Juliana, good morning. Let's talk about Tesco about a minute. Let's talk about Brexit, geopolitics, and economic data. What are we waking up to this morning? What are you waking up to in the city of London? That's it.
Good morning, both.
Good morning.
Well, the FTSE 100 is trading around 7 points higher this morning, which is up by about 0.1%. Now, the biggest performers there are the oil majors, which you've just been talking about. They've been boosted by a surge in the oil price following reports that an oil tanker in the Sea of Oman is actually on fire. Both BP, PLC and Royal Dutch Shell are sporting gains of between 0.6 and 0.9%. Now, much earlier, traders had actually expected the FTSE to start on the back foot as a familiar set of pressures put global equities much lower. Of course, the main sticking factor is the ongoing trade dispute between Donald Trump and China. When the two largest economies in the world are engaged in a trade spat, of course, all global markets will be affected. And their tariff tit for tat doesn't appear to be stalling anytime soon. As yesterday, Trump reaffirmed his view that he will impose tariffs of $325 billion worth of Chinese imports if a deal isn't reached. So we'll see how that plays out. Now, in currencies, the pound is still gaining on the dollar this morning by 0.05% to $1.27, and sterling is sliding down against the euro by 0.01% at €1.12.
Yeah, Juliana, let's get a little bit of Brexit brief here. Where are we with all this cross-party possibility, no Brexit? Boris Johnson, one of the front runners, gone in for number 10 Downing Street. He's been in the news talking about there has to be something has to happen as an exit strategy at the end of October.
Well, quite funny, actually. Today, Conservative members will be voting. We have 10 candidates already. Of course, you mentioned Boris Johnson being the front runner. They'll be voting today, so the numbers will be dwindling down. We're expected to see about 5 top contenders coming out. But Boris Johnson started his campaign late, and having seen the rhetoric from global markets about just how a no-deal Brexit will leave the marketplace uncertain, he's saying that he's happy to try and negotiate a deal. Remember, of course, the EU 27 are refusing to negotiate. They basically said it's Theresa May's withdrawal agreement or nothing. But Britain still think they can try and, welly the EU to try and make the lives of the British people much easier and try to negotiate their way out of this union a lot more with ease. But we'll have to see. I think all people will be focusing on who will be the top 5 contenders. And as you said, Boris Johnson is leading the pack.
Yes, 10 folks gunning for number 10, looking like a football team there. 11 people on a field of play. So just add one contender and you have 11 people with a goalkeeper. Okay, let's just get this straight. Talk us also about Tesco. I'm sure you shop there, so you know all about Tesco and all of that, reporting sales and revenue. I'm sure you contribute part of your money into what Tesco is reporting as sales and revenue.
Quite interesting, Bosun. Everybody in the UK has done it at one stage in their life. I surely have. And now it's the turn of Tesco. Their top chiefs are blaming the weather for poor performance. Now, Britain's biggest supermarket chain have just reported a sharp slowdown in underlying sales growth. Their first quarter results show that like-for-like sales are at 0.4% to $9 billion lower. This is much lower than the 1.7% the group delivered for the previous 3 months. Now, this morning, their shares have dipped 1.5% following that announcement that they're stalling. But there's no denying, Both, that in recent years, the brand position of Tesco has taken a major hit in markets. It's arguably no longer seen as the best value for groceries here in the UK, and that's since discount supermarkets such as Lidl and Aldi have entered the arena. Nobody also will forget the 2013 horse meat scandal, which is said to have wiped over £250 million off Tesco's market value. Now, the chain barely recovered from that. It's not all bad news for them this morning, however. The group has still outperformed its competitors, and UK online grocery sales are up by 7% year on year.
At the Tesco, that's the chain around the corner. Almost every bus stops and train stations and all of that buy a few things, the water and a few pastries, and just move on. Okay, thank you. Share the weather conditions and how that is impacting business with Chimezi Obiwagu later in the afternoon show. Thank you so much for coming through this morning on the program. Juliana Olayinka from our London studios, one of our team down there. So let's talk about the market. What's the dollar rate this morning as we come back from the Democracy Day? Let's touch down on Market Street.